going to start our song.
Otter enters river without falter. What a supple slider, out of halt and into water. This shape-shifter is a sheer breath taker and a sure heart stopper. But you'll only ever spot a shadow flutter, bubble skein, and never, almost never, actual otter. This swift swimmer is a silver miner. With trout, it's all. It bores each black pool deep and deeper, delves up current, steep and steeper, turns the water inside out, then inside outer. Ever dreamed of being otter, that utter underwater thunderbolter, that shimmering twister? Run to the riverbank, otter dreamer. Slip your skin, change your matter, and pour your outer being into otter, then enter now as otter without falter into water.
Would you try the sound? Hit your sound audio on your...
It's on, Helen.
How do you know?
I see it in the lower left.
No, you mean on your... Thank you. There is no, okay.
Jackie Morris.
Welcome, 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 one and all. Whether it's morning or afternoon or evening for you, you're very warmly welcomed to CoFund-e-Fest. Yeah, this is a conversation about trust, but it's all very much part of what's planned as a weaving together of lots of different threads in the context of the festival we are planning and we're carrying out and bringing. So we've had some conversations already, and the conversations will flow on over Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And this is almost like the midpoint for us. Are you all right, Dieter?
There's an issue with Helen and John's sound. So just go on. I'm going to chat with them, see if I can help. Oh, no, they can hear you. Great. Sorry.
So this is a conversation about trust. And it's a conversation that's modeled in terms of format on the work of Peter Block and the 6 conversations, which he's really famous for. This one, having a conversation with the subject of trust, emerged out of an earlier part of our embodiment experiment, where there was a sense from a few of us holding one of the 6 conversations that actually it was all about trust. And we've often talked in the context of CoFund-e-Co about moving at the speed of trust. And we've also been playing with the idea about the difference between trust as a noun, as a kind of thing that emerges out of the other conversations. And the opportunity also to think of as trust more as a verb, as something that we choose to do. And that's just enough, I hope, just to get us started with the kinds of space we can play in with talking about trust today. And before we go any further, following Peter Block's model, we'd like to offer the chance for a little bit of connection before we get into the real content. So we're going to break into small groups. And the question that we're inviting you to play with and introduce you to each other, what drew you to this conversation today? What drew you to come along? So how shall we do it, Dieter? 2 groups of?
I have 3 groups of 3. Because
3 groups of 3, that works much better.
John and Helen can be 2.
Yes.
And yes. So can you repeat the question again? And we'll have just 2 minutes each, and take that last minute as part of those 6 minutes.
So the question I'm just putting in the chat now, what drew you to come to this conversation?
Thank you.
And off we go.
Oh. Welcome back. Apologies for the broken conversations. If there were any, I was part of one. Fred, I'm looking forward to connecting back with the rest of what you wanted to share. Are we all back? I think so.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it okay if we move on?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
great. So I'm going to invite us to, we call it a somatic experience, and it's basically just going back to sometimes knowledge, kind of, there's an essence of very natural and intuitive knowledge that is stored in our bodies that sometimes the mind, our culture, what we learn takes us away. One of my teachers says that life is a spiral that takes us away and away and away from our essence through school and experiences and traumas and love and all those things. And the work that we have when we want to kind of adults is to go back to that essence. So inviting the possibility that essence is also in our bodies. So if this is not for you, then just spend the next couple of minutes chilling, finding your way to be present, going for a cup of tea or whatever. But if you want to experience or experiment, inviting you to connect with your breath for a moment. To me, it's just a way of coming back to the present moment. Knowing that the breath doesn't exist in the future or the past. When I feel my breath, I am in the present moment. Inviting you to sense into the story or the history of your breath, as in the continuity. Maybe there has been some brief interruptions of your breath throughout your life, but most likely it's been with you since the moment you were born. And I'm sure experiences are different for different people, but just inviting you to sense if there is a sense of intimacy or trust that the next breath is coming. And if this gets too strong for you, then please just feel your body or the ground underneath you. Inviting you to feel the in-breath and the out-breath. To slow it down as far as it's comfortable for you right now. Inviting you to bring your awareness to that moment between the in-breath and the out-breath. To sense the change of direction in your body. Right before the breath goes out. And again, perhaps connecting with a sense of familiarity and trust in that process. When we go from autonomous nervous system to more conscious actions of the nervous system. Inviting you to sense your heart as it changes pressure and shape of the chest when you breathe in and out. Inviting a sense of spaciousness around your heart, particularly as you breathe out. Maybe there's a sigh or oh, letting go of tension around your heart. Also knowing how much that area connects with the rest of your body, and particularly with the environment around you. This big, complex, beautiful center of perception and action that is your heart and the area around your heart. And allowing with the out breath to go a bit deeper, lower in your body and feel your gut. Inviting you to connect with that sense of a gut feeling. Maybe remembering the last time you had a gut feeling about someone. Some people call it intuition. About something, about yourself. Somehow something lights up in the nerves around your gut, around your heart, and brings perhaps a feeling of unison of your whole nervous system, a sense of direction. inviting you to trust that feeling, which I've been told by many different lines of teaching is something that we evolved with, that we share with trees and bacteria and fungi, monkeys and fish, and dragonflies. And your favorite being, I'm sure it has intuition too. Inviting a deep breath, letting go of this practice, coming back to the present moment with our breath. And if you need to shake or stretch, inviting you to look around. Thank you for being part of this experiment. And if there are any words that you want to share, maybe something came up for you, maybe this was just utter rubbish and boring, that's also welcome. What came up for you? Let's just hear a couple of voices. If there are any, then you can also put things in the chat if that's more comfortable.
I was just connecting the poem at the start with the otter, the inner and the outer, and into the flipping over from the in-breath to the out-breath. Just had that, for me, that otter-like feel.
Nice, thank you. Mugisha Fred, I saw you were about to speak.
Yeah, it's been an amazing kind of moment, you know. I even during this time I was meditating and reflecting and imagining. I've realized that we live where we are. We have trust in the environment where we are. That environment where you are is where you have most trust. Like if you don't have trust in that place where you are right now, then you don't have trust. If you don't have that trust in your locality, you can't stay there. You can't stay where you don't trust. I was even imagining with my colleagues and my team. If you don't find trust anywhere, you can't be there. So the environment where we live is where our trust is. I've tried to meditate more about the environment that surrounds us as the first kind of center or family of trust. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really profound and beautiful. I'm feeling a bit shaken and with the sadness of so many people who are just losing the trust of the place where they live by external circumstances. Thank you. I think it's so important. It reminds me of something that a friend said probably a year and a half ago, and it's been so much with me. He said, home is the place that knows you, not just the place we know, but the place that knows you. And it's been quite informative for me. Another person, we have time for another sharing if anybody would like to share something. Otherwise, you just get more of us, more of my speaking.
I've been thinking about what of my life is not the material, physical things. Beyond that, what is going on in my whole life that is just in my thoughts, that is not tangible. And I remembered as we did the exercise, it was a time when I had finished my college university studies and I was independently responsible for my own learning. And I latched on to something called the New York Review of Books as the sophisticated journal that was going to connect me with intellectuals. Of course, I was not in New York, but they were. And it was the time of the Vietnamese War. And I don't know, maybe 100, I don't know how many, 100 intellectuals, leaders had signed a letter protesting against the Vietnamese War and published it in this journal. I sat there saying to myself, I have to be in that meeting. All of those people whose I've read what they wrote, they are all in New York together in that meeting. And when I grow up, I'm going to get there. That's what I want. I want to be in a meeting like that. And it didn't take me long to discover that they were never in a meeting together, that they had put that letter together, never, ever, ever had assembled together. And so that is my message about trust. And then, of course, there's the famous thing that not only Margaret Mead, but her friend Jean Houston always said, that the work of the world gets done by 3 or 4 people who get together. So that's my thinking about trust, not only trusting the size of a group and the number of people who show up, but trusting thought, ideas, reading, as opposed to what I call helping. Is that a part of helping?
Wow. Oh, thank you, Helen. Ooh. Oh, should we just stay with this, Kate? No kidding. I like doing transparent facilitation. It would be lovely to be in the same room, though. So I'm just going to introduce us into today's conversation, and how this is part of what we call the CoFund-e-Fest. What a joyful name. Thank you for my co-instigators for coming up with that, which was also the way it emerged in my memory. It was a playful, trusting space that we've been creating for the last 2.5 years. So for me, this whole festival, CoFund-e-Fest, where we have different, very practical, heartful and practical sessions looking at how we are embodying and actually moving resources into the different nodes that are emerging that can link CoFund-e-Co with different projects around the world, and with the places that we actually trust. So this is what's happening around this trust conversation. We are just one session amongst other, I wanted to say many, but there's maybe not many of good quality sessions of coming together and exploring different aspects of trust. And this conversation, I don't know if I should say this or if I should let Kate say it. It emerged from one of the 6 conversations that Kate and I were part of. And with that, I'm just going to hand over to Kate to start us on the trust conversation.
Thank you, Dita. Yes. So when we landed on trust as the focus of the conversation, there's a number of ideas and threads that came with it that we thought useful to bring to the fore, and draw in also the things that have just been contributed about trust and place and trust and location and spread across the world in different ways. But trust as distinct from separation, the dominant culture, modernity within which we live, likes us to think that we are separate individuals and that more than anything else, we're in competition with each other. And because of that, we shouldn't trust. Trust is actually something that can get in the way of this competition. Capitalism tells us that we don't need to be in relationship other than in business relationship that's all set around with rules and regulations, money and contracts and legal warrants, all of those things that are put in place to replace trust. I have a friend who's the beneficiary of a family trust, which I find quite ironic, because I kind of feel like if your family members trusted each other, they wouldn't need to put it down in legal terms that this money, you're not entitled to this until you're so and such an age, and you can't spend it on that and you must spend it on something else. So business as usual encourages us not to trust. It encourages us not to run risks and not to trust anyone, even your nearest and dearest. That's why we apparently need prenuptial legal arrangements in case this marriage breaks down. Business as usual also offers us insurance policies against practically anything. Though actually, you have to read the small print very carefully and sometimes need a lawyer to back up your claims. But what these insurance policies seem to want to do is to give us the illusion that we're safe and give us the illusion that we're secure and our things are under control and everything can be managed and that we don't need to be running risks. Whereas I think a lot of us are starting to feel that risks are being run with our world. Business as usual is running us into the ground. We need to find a different way of being together. And risk is inherent in that. And trust is inherent in that. And to that extent also, perhaps trust is the opposite of control. That's maybe the core distinction between a stance that embraces trust as a way of being, as an acknowledgement of all of the uncertainty that surrounds us and all of the interdependence that surrounds us. And I think that's where, to me, we are going with CoFund-e-Co. We're saying that when we look at the things that resource us, the things that matter, the things that will regenerate as we go into the future, build us resilience as we look at all of the damage that's being done around us, we need to be able to trust. And it's not a fixed entity, it's a fluid entity that changes according to the circumstances, but it's built on experience and built on relationships, and is seeking to lean into what draws us together, as opposed to the things that separate and the things that need to be bound to each other in legal language. So that's really what we're trying to lean into as one of the themes that comes through the festival and will play out as we go forwards in our conversations around North and South and around how we gather and disperse money between us. So it's a fundamental thing to have, I think, some understanding of where we ourselves stand on things to do with trust today. And they may be different tomorrow, and maybe things can usefully shift, and maybe things we have that we can stand on with confidence. So that maybe is a bit head space talking about those things, and to bring us back into a little bit more playfulness and a little bit of heart space. Before we go into the questions, we wanted to offer you a poem. And this poem, maybe you're familiar with it, maybe you're hearing it for the first time, but when I first heard it, it really made me smile. The poem is See Paris First by Marsha Truman Cooper. See Paris first. Suppose that what you fear could be trapped and held in Paris. Then you would have the courage to go everywhere in the world, all the directions of the compass open to you, except the degrees east or west of true north that leads to Paris. Still, You wouldn't dare put your toes smack dab on the city limit line. You're not really willing to stand on a mountainside miles away and watch the Paris lights come up at night. Just to be on the safe side, you decide to stay completely out of France. But then danger seems too close, even to those boundaries, and you feel the timid part of you covering the whole globe again. You need the kind of friend who learns your secret and says, see Paris first.
Thank you, Kate. So I am going to introduce our first question. And before I do that, we are inspired by Peter Bloch's, I'm going to say, treatise on good questions and questions that have the power, questions with power. So they are, I don't know if they are designed with that, with these qualities in mind, but they certainly can have the qualities of feeling personal, of being ambiguous, so you don't have to get it right or wrong, and of creating perhaps a bit of anxiety. So for me, the invitation is just more to be with the question and see what emerges than to have to come up with an answer per se. And take it any way it guides you. It doesn't have to be, again, there is no right or wrong answer. It's your answer. It's whatever comes up for you. So we will have 12 minutes in total, and we are inviting you to be with the question, where are you choosing to trust? And where are you choosing to withhold your trust? Are there any payoffs and costs of these choices for you? Where are you choosing to trust? Apologies for the, I'm going to just correct that. Where are you choosing to trust and where are you choosing to withhold trust? Are there any payoffs and costs of these choices for you? It's a big question, but we'll have plenty of time. Take that last minute to be with this. And here we go. There will be some new people in your groups, so take some time to welcome them. Maybe I'm going to give an extra minute for that. There we go. Oh, welcome back. Oh, welcome. And again, apologies for broken conversations. Maybe you want to finish that sentence, Mugisha Fred, if you want to. We're speaking about people being trusted with driving a car.
Yeah. So I was mentioning, like, it's possible. Like me now, I've gone to university, I've had experience, I've interacted with people, you know. It's possible if I have a car to trust to trust anyone who I know can drive and can learn how to drive. I can say, oh, learn and start driving. You can help us where we need help. Not like the other individual who think me riding a motorcycle, you cannot trust me with a motorcycle after high school. Only motorcycle. So even today in modern society, there are individuals who cannot trust their other colleagues with small resources or with even a bicycle, you know, thinking that someone will break the bicycle. You are going to cause an accident with a bicycle. Oh my God. So I really believe that we need to try trusting and to have confidence. Yeah, have confidence. Maybe build confidence. Yes, like I mentioned in the previous breakout room about teaching, training, learn. Because if someone learns something, when we teach, people learn and adapt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. What else? What else struck you from your conversations? Was there a yummy fruit that you want to share? A beautiful flower that you want to share with this group? Something you heard or felt or said? John or Helen?
Kate talked about trust and about risk. And I would say that always we have not trust going on at the same time as trust. Sometimes that's important. Sometimes not trust is very, very important, especially in my country. And I was just noticing that I don't know what I trust. I mean, I tell myself I don't trust something, but there I am in the middle of it, completely involved and trusting. And then the other part is also true. I say I'm trusting, but so
You're
it's something
guarded.
to stay aware of.
Yeah, I'm remembering some words I think Kate said about trust being something dynamic. So it's not like it's there all the time the same way, but changing perhaps continuously. And I love the idea of those parallels. Yeah. What else? Ben? Aha, you just looked like you were about to unmute yourself.
I have a feeling Kuta might have something to offer us, but maybe not to put you under pressure, Kuta, but there was an expression on your face that made me think there's some words of wisdom there.
Thank you. Thank you. What I gathered in our subgroup, generally I understand that trust first, because that is a natural principle even with me, to trust first. And though it usually turns out negative, which it is supposed to, because things are always changing. Things are always changing. Particularly, I just talk about myself. Usually, I trust first because I believe that it's good to trust first. And when things don't move or don't come out the way they're supposed to be, that were expected from the beginning, we begin to say, now our trust has been betrayed. And what else can we do rather than to trust? Because I feel good trusting. So generally, I understood from my group that even as the founder of Peace Foundation, my brother from Uganda, brought an example of a child, that the child trusts first. Everybody trusts its environment, everything. But as the child is growing up, the child begins to distrust so many things and that is when choice starts. So trust for me is open, it's open, and then it's relative. It's relative depending on who you are, depending on the environment, depending on your experience with people and their environment, depending on so many factors. But I feel that as human, just as Kate, I think Skego spoke, that she feels good trusting, and she loses a lot of energy just only to think about mistrust. I personally, I feel so too. I always trust. I always trust first, and then whatever the outcome, I have only one choice, and the choice is to deal with what I'm empowered to control, which is the way to react towards that situation. That's the only choice that I think I can have. But for me, and from what I've learned from my group, is that we trust first. Being a member in the CoFund-e-Eco community is trusting people that you don't know, that you have never met in your life, trusting in what they say. And so that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kuta. Nice. We have time maybe for another one, maybe from the other group, third group, or anybody who feels like sharing.
As we've talked about this conversation over the last couple months, I guess, since the idea emerged, the traditional practice of welcoming a stranger who comes to your home has come to mind a lot, right? And maybe this is still true in some parts of the world. It certainly is no longer true here on Turtle Island. You know, a stranger comes and knocks on your door saying, "I need food and shelter," and you welcome them in as an honored guest. And you might even know that they come, you know, from a village nearby that you have a conflict with, but when they're in your home, that goes away and you trust them. And that I'm just trying to imagine, you know, that what that would be like, and how, you know, to the point that you were making before, Helen, that there's got to be a point. But part of you says, you know, this person could rob me, could kill me, but I'm letting them in. I'm taking that risk. So I'm choosing to trust. But part of me doesn't trust this, and yet I'm making the choice anyway. And how powerful that act is, and what a different kind of a world that philosophy creates.
I feel the need to share a poem. Is that okay, Kate?
Go ahead, please do.
It's called All Bread by Margaret Atwood. All bread is made of wood, cow dung, packed brown moss, the bodies of dead animals, the teeth and backbones, what is left after the ravens. This dirt flows through the stems into the grain, into the arm, 9 strokes of the axe. Skin from a tree, good water, which is the first gift. 4 hours. Live burial under a moist cloth, a silver dish in a row of white famine bellies, swollen and taut in the oven. Lungfuls of warm breath stopped in the heat from an old sun. Good bread has the salt taste of your hands after 9 strokes of the axe, the salt taste of your mouth. It smells of its own small death, of the deaths before and after. Lift these ashes into your mouth, your blood. To know what you devour is to consecrate it, almost. All bread must be broken so it can be shared. All bread must be broken so it can be shared. Together, we eat this earth. And with that, I am going to hand over to Kate for our second question.
Thank you very much. Could you just repeat that last line again? All bread must be broken.
All bread must be broken so it can be shared. Together, we eat this earth.
That's a beautiful distillation, I think, of a lot of what we're trying to do over this festival. Breaking bread so that it can be shared. And that takes us into what is the second question we'd like to ask you.
Sure.
what carries the essence of trust for you in this project? What carries the essence of trust for you in this project? And just to remind you, the questions are designed to be ambiguous. So don't worry if you go, oh, I'm not exactly sure what that means. How it means for you is what matters. They are designed to come, what the essence of trust for you, not for anybody else in the abstract. And if they provoke a little anxiety, as in they make you uncomfortable, not inducing a panic attack, but just, what are they getting at? How does that land with me? That's the way we would like you to take these questions and take them off into our next breakout. So how long will we have, Dita?
9 minutes in total.
So a little bit shorter than last time.
So inviting the essence.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Welcome back. We are all safely back from the corridors of Zoom. I think so. So the same question, anything that really sparkled for you in what you heard in your small groups, anything that you'd like to share?
Yes.
Kuta, would you like to share something? I understand you didn't manage to speak in the small group, so please take the chance now if you'd like to.
Thank you for this opportunity once more. I'm very happy because I had the opportunity to listen to my fellow members in my group who shared the thought on what actually carries the essence for trust in this project. And I'm very, very grateful. For me, the essence of trust is just to believe that we are operating or are in an environment with, that you have no fear, because I was born in a farm, in a small village, and we had an external toilet, which was about here in Africa, not like today that we have electricity. Places were very, very dark, and we believe that in this darkness, there are devils, there are wizards in the night. A child cannot go out alone in the night. You are afraid. So my father, when I want to go to the toilet in the night, because I used to eat a lot, and I will have to go to the toilet in the night, my father will not go and see me off at the door of the toilet. He will come out and stand only in front of the door. And I'm very, very, I trust him, and I'm very confident nothing will happen with me. I will move from the house to the toilet and feel free there and come back, because my father is standing at the door. My father did not go to go and stand in front of the toilet with me. So the essence for trust, I will be operating in the environment with no fear. So any bread that is put on the table, I just have to eat. I will not see the bread as a stick, or the fish that is put on the table, I will not see as a snake, because I trust. So that's the essence of trust for me. If I'm having a wife and I'm trusting the wife, it's not that the wife cannot kill me. I'm trusting the wife because I'm not afraid living with her. So that is the essence for trust for me in this project, that I'm coming in with the fact that I always trust first, and that I'm not afraid for what people are thinking, or what the outcome of any solution or problem. I take it, like, our Christian community will say, we take it as Holy Communion, no question.
I love hearing that. Thank you, Kuta. It sounds like, well, it reminds me a little bit even of what Kweku was sharing with us.
That bread you are eating is the body of Christ. So for me, the essence of trust is that there's no fear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Trust is an absolute fundamental that some people have not forgotten, whereas others maybe need to relearn it, break down some of the barriers of fear so that we're able to trust. Anybody else like to share anything, especially anyone we haven't heard from yet today? Yeah, Julius,
Yes.
please.
I'm Julius Kuya from Kenya.
Karibu sana bwana.
Asante sana, karibu pia wewe.
Asante.
Naona wewe ni Mkenya ama unajua Kiswahili.
Endelea tu.
So, asante sana. So I also share something about the essence of trust in this project. One of the elements I've been able to identify from, for example, in the CoFund-e-Fest project is the ability for people from different backgrounds, different nationalities around the world coming together to have the ability to share, connect, and engage into meaningful discussions that's fruitful, like a call for this meeting, and here we are talking. So that is one of the elements of trust we have within ourselves. But then also in our discussion, something arose. Is this trust enough? We said at some element we have trust, but not enough. The reason maybe the trust might not be there and not enough in this project is the fact that the space of our engagement is maybe only limited to the meetings we have that are organized. But if, for example, Node A and Node B can decide to have a discussion over a given topic, then that one can also be able to broaden the trust between ourselves. So trust, to me and to us in our discussion, is that it is a process that needs cultivation. And this cultivation comes through different engagements, talking like the way we are talking, networking, sharing resources, being in different forums, different meetings, engaging in a given activity or a given action. That is one way that can bring more trust among ourselves. For example, in my group, there is one person already who identified she wants to visit Africa. And I said, welcome to Kenya. So she comes to Kenya. When she comes to Kenya and comes to Western Kenya, participates in my community work activities with me, with the members of my community, the level of trust between me and her will be higher. So that is also one of the key things. The more we engage between ourselves, the more we have that ability to trust each other very well. But one key element is that this project CoFund-e-Fest already has given us the platform to cultivate that trust. And through such a forum, ability to share information, connect like this, we have the ability to build it, strengthen it, and do more together as a team. So that is my input. Asante sana.
Karibu. Thank you. A platform to cultivate trust. I'm just seeing Denise's face for the first time, and we're nearly running out of time, but I'd love it if you, without putting you under pressure, if there's anything you'd like to contribute before we start to wrap up, please feel free.
Sorry, it's taking me a while to unmute. Morning. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the discussions despite being behind the screen. I just was not off this morning, and this has been great. I think what I found really interesting were a couple of things that came out of our meeting that was great was someone in our group actually brought up, and I was thinking maybe it's good for the ecosystem, how our own biases might lead to different degrees of trust. For instance, he brought up the issue of gender and what people are willing to trust certain people with. Like sometimes it might be because they're X, Y, whatever embodied in a particular way, that they're not trusted with certain things. So I think like just being aware of the degrees to which we trust are connected to the person, like just the attributes of the person that we should be working with. And then there was another really reflective discussion about how, and I think we brought it up, but building in processes for other people to take over your role, like having faith that others will do your job, but making sure that you're like not this heroic model of leadership. Like if you step away, that there's a way for other people to continue to do the work is an inherent kind of structural aspect of trust. And then the other thing that was really interesting is we came across, there were some similarities with the idea of transparency and reliability and creating spaces for honest discussions as being the core of trust. And I think they all kind of are really important in how well we collaborate. So it's been really an interesting discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Denise. It's the joy of small groups, but also the frustration because I'm finding I'd love to have been in that discussion as well. But there we are. Thank you for that. We are coming towards the end of the time that we have together, and I'd like to follow in the footsteps of Peter Block and suggest that we end by offering each other gifts. And the reason for that is because we trust that offering gifts is a better way to build community than the kind of feedback that tells you just exactly where your performance was less good than it might have been. So instead of the negative, we want to offer the positive. What gifts have you received? And the invitation, Helen, you're really familiar with this process.
Before we start that, I ask an extra 3 minutes, because something about trust is hearing one's own words reflected back, said back, and that trust if someone did hear me the way I wanted to be heard or not. And something happened so that John and I could not understand enough of Kula. We heard key words and we wanted to know more. So if someone would take 2 minutes to just tell me what you received when Kula spoke.
And also we can leave we don't have to close the meeting at the top of the hour, and that all those conversations can still happen.
Okay.
I think Kate's invitation was actually not to go into small groups, but to have the gifts here. But I'm just checking with you, Kate.
Yes, I think we have the gifts here rather than go back into small groups. Ben, you're looking puzzled. Is it your advice that we should go back into small groups for that?
You're in charge.
Yes, we are.
If we go back into group, then we end the meeting from our groups. We won't come back again.
Well, you could just leave the meeting running and set it up so we can move ourselves around and say, spend 5 minutes in your groups, small groups, but then, come back to the main room, go to another group. We've done that before. But I yield to your thoughts there.
Yes, our plan was to use the gifts in the common room as a way of closing.
What do they mean by that?
That we will not go into breakout groups necessarily. But I trust your intuition, Kate.
Yeah, let's stay in the big group.
Great.
And the invitation is just to share any gifts that you have received in the course of the hour and a half that we've spent together.
We just one, not all of them. There's too many.
We don't need to list everyone in the room.
I want to. I received so many gifts. It's so tricky to choose. One of the first things that Denise said is that trust and conversations around trust have been kind of with her, and there was so much resonance in what she shared right at the beginning. So there was a beautiful sense of communion somehow across the world. Thank you.
Hmm. In our group, Clement, who also goes by Kwaku, asked this question: who am I to set conditions to try to control and manage things rather than trusting the universe? And that question felt very, very powerful to me.
Yeah.
Fred, would you like to say something?
Not really. I've just liked what Ben has just said about Clement's comment. It is really great, and it resonates with what happens daily in daily life. When we are teaching about child protection, we normally talk about if I broke the glass of a motorcycle or the car. No, I'll not be blamed because I'm the director. But if my son broke the glass at home, the cup of the glass we use for water drinking, he will be beaten. So it tries to resonate. If I've broken something in the office for the Peace Foundation, I'm not beaten. But my son who breaks something at home is beaten. Then who sets the controls? So I was just trying to look at that. And the issue there is we need to know the child has broken a glass. Maybe it's an accident. Maybe it is we thank God that the glass has not harmed the child, than looking at it from the other way of punishment and all that. And yeah, about controls, yeah. I just wanted to air out that. And I also love what Kuta shared, yeah. What Kuta shared is he pointed out some practical experiences in Africa. Of course, I also love the Julius's experience is citing his observations. Very remarkable. Thank you.
I would so much like to thank everybody for the gift I've received of you being here this morning, this afternoon, whatever time it is for you. I love the expression, whoever comes are the right people. And I really do feel that I have received some real insights from just comments that folk have made. And in particular, I would just highlight one, which could have been so many, but Julius's comments about how nodes can speak to each other. Not everything needs to come via the center. There's so much opportunity to move across, especially our friends in East Africa. It doesn't need to go via the US or via the UK to have conversations across East Africa. If we start the building of trust, then it can ripple out in so many different directions, in so many different geographies. And we've come to really to the end of the time we agreed to share with each other. So maybe if you need to be somewhere else, then please don't feel at all awkward about leaving the call just now. But if you'd like to stay on and chat, or you've made a contact with somebody that you'd like to follow up immediately, then we can leave the lines of the call open so that you can do that. But let us say, for the moment, we've stopped talking about trust. And thank you, Dita, so much for all you do to make this possible, sharing with you.
And you, Kate.
Thank y'all so much, per usual. Very, very strong session. All right, go use the bathroom. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for the poems. I really appreciate the poetry and the way this was facilitated. So thank you for the organizers and participants. Bye.
Thank you,
See you
Denise.
here, Denise.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Julius.
Yeah, good to
Thank you
see
so
you,
much.
Julius.